I know, y'all been beating up on me.
But you got the credentials.
I know.
So
I might do that.
all right.
I've been thinking about it.
We look forward to seeing it.
Good to see you though. All right. Where is she? She's in somewhere. Oh, there she is. Oh, Dan, what I'm waiting for.
And don't take this wrong.
Hey, Sean, you want me to bring you something? Go to something. What are two?
Thursday? You had it? Been outside of me?
All day.
Look at it. I was trying to show mine, but it looks long.
Dang, this is long.
Hmm?
It's a long night.
No, I think a lot of people cancel their appeals. We got a closed session, might take a few minutes, but. You ready? Now the Colonel's gone.
He gonna get some water. We can
Okay.
start.
Okay, got a nice crowd here tonight. I'd like to welcome everybody to our June 3rd Vance County Board of Commissioners meeting. And we'd like to start things off with invocation, and Pastor Abadan Shah is here from Clivey Baptist. Thank you for being here tonight, and I'd like to lead us in prayer.
Let's bow our heads in prayer. Heavenly Father, we begin this meeting with prayer as an acknowledgement that you are the source of all life, of all truth, and all blessings. And so, God, we welcome you in this place, and we thank you. Thank you, God, for the blessing of living in our nation, blessing of living in this community. And God, we acknowledge that without you, we are nothing. And today, as this meeting proceeds, Lord, we pray for your hand upon all the officials who are here as they conduct the business to make our community a better place. We pray that you would give them the wisdom, the discernment, the strength, the courage they need. And Father, as they are taking care of the business of our community, we pray that you would also take care of their needs and their concerns. God, work in their lives. God, we also pray for our men and women in uniform all over the world. We thank you, Lord, because of their sacrifice and their commitment, Lord, that we have the freedoms we do. And especially today, as we celebrate one such individual, God, we pray that not only would the family be blessed, but that all of us would be blessed by this person's legacy. Finally, God, we pray for our community. We pray, God, that you would keep us united, keep us caring for one another, prosper us, Lord, and help us to be a place that would be a city on a hill, a place where we can lift up the name of Jesus Christ. For it's in his name we pray. Amen.
Tonight is a very special night. I think I'm in my 18th year on the Board of Commissioners, and I've never had the honor of doing what we're fixing to do. Tonight, we're going to wish a happy birthday to Senior Master Sergeant George Kevlin Davis. And the county has prepared a letter saying, on behalf of the Vance County Board of Commissioners, we wish you a happy 100th birthday. As an upcoming Centennial, what an incredible thing to have been able to see our world 100 years. Your legacy as a member of the armed forces is deep and abiding. We thank you for your dedication to our country. May this day be filled with joy, love, and appreciation for all that you do and have done for our great nation. And that's from the Vance County Board of Commissioners. Now I'd like to recognize Nicola Goslin-Riggs, who is our Veteran Services person. And I believe you have some more things to share with us.
Maybe better on this.
Good evening. My name is Nicola Goslin Ricks, and this is Bailey Schaefer. And we are with the Vance County Veteran Service Office. Will the following people please join us? Warren County VSO, Mrs. Jamita Bell Hyman. Franklin County VSO, Mrs. Brenda Wilkins. Granville County VSO, Mr. AJ Spees. Granville County Veterans Affairs Committee Co-Chairman, Mr. Ronnie Boyd, and Miss Lynn and Miss Ann. And we are pleased to have Representative Frank Sossaman, and from the Office of Representative Don Davis, Chief Robert Kruger. I must give honor to God, who is the head of my life. I would like to thank God for granting us this opportunity to honor Senior Master Sergeant George Kevlin Davis for his 100th birthday, which will be on June the 8th. Senior Master Sergeant Davis faithfully served in the United States Coast Guard, Army Reserves, and returned while serving in the Air Force, retired while serving in the Air Force. When Ms. Clay Kill with the Office of Representative Frank Sossaman informed us of Mr. Davis's birthday, we reached out to the surrounding counties' veteran service offices, and without hesitation, they wanted to participate in honoring this great man. Happy birthday, Senior Master Sergeant George Kevlin Davis. We wish you many more. Now, Representative Frank Sossaman would like to have a few words.
Just a few.
You need mine?
I think you can hear me. I'm
Yeah.
a pastor, so I've got a loud voice. I need something to hit later. It's an honor to be here to recognize Mr. Davis. I've had the privilege to visit him in the hospital. He hadn't been long out of the hospital. He had a little bump in the road, but he's here tonight. He was determined he was coming tonight for us to be able to celebrate his 100th birthday. And also just to celebrate him as a man, what he has done in serving our country, and serving his family and community. He's a man of great faith. He shared with me that he was looking forward to going to heaven, and you as wife would be there to greet him and probably start giving you instructions. Like most of our wives do. But he's a man of great faith, and he's trusting God. And it's an honor to meet him and know him, and I look forward to getting to know him even better. But I have a certificate from the General Assembly that recognizes you on your birthday. You'll be having a lot of these. You'll need another wall to hang them all over, I think. But please know that we love you and appreciate you and honor you. You are a great guy, a great patriot, and a great American, a man that we can all follow your example. And I hope that we will. Maybe you'll inspire some of our people that aren't as patriotic to once again look and honor our country. But I'm gonna just set this over there, because I know you don't need all that in your lap, and you don't need us to shake your hand, because these messages is pointing things up. God bless you.
Okay. Next, we will have a presentation from the Office of Representative Don Davis. Where you are? Oh.
This is
You-
the office of Representative Don Davis.
Hello, sir. So I'm, Congressman Don Davis sends his birthday wishes to you. Unfortunately, unable to come, because I'm in DC working. But for me, this is kind of personal because I'm an Air Force veteran, retired coasting. So he got one more branch on me. He got the Army in there. And yeah, it's definitely a few more years. But thank you, your inspiration. I do agree with what you said, is that it's definitely something that more our youth need to take as an example and serve this wonderful country that we have. So I'd like to present the certificate. I'll briefly read the notes here so everybody can see it, or excuse me, hear it. U.S. House of Representatives, be it known for the First District of North Carolina bestows the certificate of special congressional recognition to Senior Master Sergeant George Evelyn Davis, United States Air Force retired. In celebration of his 100th birthday and in gratitude for his many years of service to our country, July 1942 to January 1946, United States Coast Guard. November 1949, November 5th, 1950, United States Army Reserves. March 1954 to January 1956, United States Army. February 1956 to November 1969, United States Air Force. Given in the city of Henderson, in the state of North Carolina, this 3rd day of June in the year 2024. The witness whereof I have hereunto affixed my hand. Donald Davis, member of Congress. Thank you, sir. Congratulations. Happy birthday. I wish you many more.
Now we will have a presentation from Granville County VSO and Veterans Affairs Committee.
How you doing, Mr. Davis? I speak a little loud. I was in the Navy for 26 years, so I appreciate your service. It's unbelievable to meet somebody like you to serve 3 branches of service, 3 wars. This proclamation right here, our commissioner signed it. I want to read this last paragraph. Now therefore be it proclaimed, Granville County Board of Commissioners hereby honors and recognizes Senior Master Sergeant George Kelvin Davis for his remarkable military service, dedication to our country, and extends a heartfelt gratitude for his lifelong commitment in protecting our freedom. We encourage all citizens to join us in celebrating 100th birthday and his exemplary legacy of service. Thank you very much for your service and dedication, sir.
Lastly, we will have presentations from Vance, Franklin, and Warren counties. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
I'm Ronnie Boyd with Granville County Veterans Affairs Committee. Our chairman sends his condolences. He cannot be here tonight. He's out for another meeting. And on behalf of the Granville County Veterans Affairs Commission, myself, Lynn Richard, Ann Williams, Sandra Eden, we'd like to present this quilt to you. We had it monogrammed George Kevin Davis, date of birth June 8, 1924. World War II Coast Guard, Korean Army, Vietnam Air Force, presented June 2024.
Beautiful.
You're not gonna fix it.
I'm a cool, I love food.
Lastly, we will have presentations from Vance, Franklin, and Warren counties VSOs. And Jamita will start with a poem that she wrote just for you, Mr. Davis. Mhm.
Happy birthday. This is from my heart. What is truly a gift? Think of all the lives you have touched and the spirits you have helped to uplift. Your country and family you have greatly served. There is nothing anyone can give that equals what you truly deserve. Your life is a life well spent. It is our prayer that you have been more than content. In all you have seen and the places you have gone, those who ever knew of you can say what you did was more than well done. Congratulations on your 100th birthday. May you be blessed with many more come your way. For many years, you have covered the world. And now it's time for you to sit back and relax and cover yourself. This is a small representation of what you have done. I think that you right there, the United States Army, and we say the best for last. U.S. Air Force. U.S. Air Force, we're the best. For all the rest, the Air Force is the best. When your family looks at this they can clearly see. But this picture right here is a reflection of you. It shows your name, where you've been, and what branches you have served. And when they look at the small one down below, you only served in so many different locations that it was very hard to get them so it was large. But this shows all the different places you traveled while you served your United States Armed Forces. We thank you, Mr. Davis, for the great man that you are.
Yeah, turn around. And I want to say that Jamita, she is so multi-talented and everything that's in that basket, she created it and designed, including the throw.
And Mr. Davis, wherever you go, you light up a room. So when you're covered in your pillow, you got something to hold on to. But never forget who you are. Happy birthday. See you
Uh-huh. Yeah. And then you forgot the tum. It's over there, it's right there.
And whenever your daughter asks you what you would like to drink, whether hot or cold, tell her make it like you, good and strong. When they come by and visit, tell them, forever you've been a lifesaver, and you were meant to be a part of our great world. Happy birthday, Mr. Davis, from Franklin, Vance, and Warren.
Happy birthday. Mhm.
Be a lifesaver.
Mhm.
So she got Ken's next to the lifesaver.
Yes. Mhm. Before we close, Mr. Davis, would you like to have a few words? Yes.
I appreciate it. Talking too.
Oh, but that's
If it's
fine.
all right, I'll speak a little bit about starting and ending. And I want to say that I started as a little boy down there, down Lake Washington, Lake, for years, and then the north in the area. I went on, and
Can you get the cord over there to him? Cause he's giving us history.
Yeah, we got to invest in some wireless stuff.
they had a big, tall, black hats and got a big rail around. They all had the collar, kind of tied up, the white shirts on. I'll never forget it. So anyway, we wasn't out there closer, but I'm sure for that, nobody really stupid. So you do it. I mean, anyway. That time we went up and unloaded the fear. The place is the main, so Tokyo Bay, there's nothing that you'll never see again. I've seen it. You could just about get out and walk across Tokyo Bay on a ship. I did a friend of ours, with the woman in the thing, they always try to get you everywhere. Yes, unbelievable. And they only come out, I think, has a whole day with it. Everyone, the ship, you know. So then, we got loaded up, we went out there, and we didn't come. We put this station on. Hey, one, we got that Oshima Island, and we don't want to get somebody somebody put the word out and kind of got a shoot up. There's got to be about maybe as many as 50,000 Japanese soldiers out there. So we got a join up. And by the way, they really cooperated with us. So you know, if we do both down. The biggest vacation place in Japan. So we went up, went on bed, so it's kind of getting up. Not up the next day, it's going to kind of separate our stuff out. So that night, Paramount had in Kansas City, the one great man, he was the great officer, and he said, you know, he said, all of us together, what was about 39 of us? He said, what we're going to do? He said, we're going to knock off a little bit early, get cleaned up something. He said that we'll throw out, and they wanted to come and keep something with it, you know. Now, to start with, I had never eaten supper before, but my face across the little table got this high. So, and the first thing they did, these girls come out all dressed in their costumes, and each one of us, they gave us, what's his name, about those liquor there, you know, all about that high. Anyway, that day, I said, all there was the big, just took the sick. They said, you remember. I said, well, back in those days, I'll be honest with you. And I said, well, I guess, we might have the guts to do it. I said, you don't have to take, let it happen. So I got out.
Davis, we haven't sung happy birthday to you yet. I wanted to, you all about 40 years of 100 years. And listen, I'm gonna lead him with a happy birthday. I'll be presenting him a flag that's flown over the Capitol from Senator Bud at your birthday.
Please tell you something.
Many years of history. Two. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Davis, for that history, your experience. We enjoyed every minute of it. Yes, well, hold on, okay. I, oh, okay. I would like to thank the following people. Sorry. I would like to thank the following people who made this special occasion possible. The commissioners, County Manager Renee Perry, Clerk to the Board of Commissioners Kelly Grissom, Representative Frank Sossaman, Clay Keel with the Office of Representative Frank Sossaman, Chief Robert Kruger with the Office of Representative Dawn Davis, Senior Master Sergeant Davis's daughter, Brenda Wyard, Bailey Schaefer, Jamita Bell Hyman, Brenda Wilkins, AJ Spees, and Ronnie Boyd, and Miss Ann and Miss Lynn. And I didn't get the young lady that stood with you in the back with the red on, Miss Sandra Eaton. And also I wish to thank all of the family members and friends of Senior Master Sergeant Davis, Tyler Davis with the Henderson Daily Dispatch, and all the others who came out to celebrate the occasion. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicola, for organizing that and put that together and for what you do for all of our veterans. And so that's a treasure that we've all just witnessed, that you got something to take through life now to be happy with somebody that's done what he's done.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right, we'll move on now. We have one person that signed up to speak with our public comments. It's Rick Ashley. And if you would come forward now, you have 5 minutes to speak.
Yeah, how y'all doing? Yeah, my name's Rick Ashley. I live in Williamsboro section of Henderson. I've been here, I moved here in 1990 from Virginia. Of course, my family grew up here and they come from here. I spent a lot of time as a child at the old railroad station with my grandfather, who was a station master, working nights. And so I've always had a certain place in my heart for Henderson. What's got me the most is this new tax evaluation we have. I know, looking at the letters that came from the reevaluation, we're supposed to make it fair for everybody. But I have found that I am consumed online, going over the map, going over people's properties and looking what they're actually paying and watching what's happening. And this is America. You know, this is the land of the free, the home of the brave. But unfortunately, we are now funded by the poor. This is what bothers me so bad. I live in an area, and there's by me, there's large parcels, 500 plus acres or 300 plus acres. I got several of them around me. And I don't understand how my little 33 acres can be more in tax value than someone with 550 acres. I don't understand that. I know there's a land use thing, and I hear it about the state, what they require. If that be the case, if it drops it that much, then maybe as we elect y'all turn around and represent us. Go to Raleigh and stop this. There's a problem. I got one parcel not far from me when I go and look at it's just a parcel of land, wooded land. And when I look at it and look at last year, the tax that was paid on it, the tax that was paid on that property, he paid $2.11 per acre in tax. We're paying thousands of dollars in tax per acre. I don't understand how this is fair. It just don't make sense. There's no way it can be fair. I know I hear all the things of the land use. I don't even care about it. We need to find a better system, a better way of evaluating. And we need a way to say property value, this is worth this much wooded, it's worth this much open, and then do the deductions on it. But when you turn around and you bring up all these properties, this poor lady here, who's down from me, her property value went up 289%. That's ridiculous. She's got 55.48 acres. Her property value last year, according to this paper, was $72,880. This year, no house on this property, neither. $283,000. And she's stuck. But a stone throw away, which puts it in another district, because she's actually in the Island Creek Estate area. But just as you cross Morgan Road, there's another piece of property over there. It's 46.68 acres. This is the one I'm talking about. It's wooded. That property, his tax last year, he paid $98.25. That's $2.11 per acre in tax. Land use or not, this is not fair. I don't care what the state says. That's bull. We have a problem with the way these things are going. Pool Rock, here's another one. I know they say they're going to evaluate things according to what the fair market or market value is that's sold close by. This property sold July 22 for $1.8 million. 1.8 million. Now you've got it market value at 1.771. So 1.771 million. Pretty close to that 1.8. But the assessed value, where the taxes will be, is $255,956. There's highlighted the property. All these lots individually, even though they got land use, how do you do land use on a half-acre lot that's going to be one to be sold? I don't understand that. Because he can't be setting aside timber on a half-acre lot that's being sold as real estate trying to sell the lots. That don't make sense. I can see a large parcel, land use for the wooded, but not all these little individuals. This is ridiculous that his asset value for all of Pool Rock is less than the 33 acres that I live on with a double wide. Makes no sense.
Okay. Thank you for your comments, Mr. Ashley. Your time's up. Appreciate you being here tonight. Okay, next on our agenda, we have Frankie Nobles with our employee engagement team.
Good evening, everyone. So this month, we didn't have an employee of the month, but we've got an employee of the year this year. And the way we select the employee of the year is we take our nominees from all the other months throughout the year, and we put them in a matrix system, and we grade them out by points. And so this year, employee of the month is Randall Medlin. Randall was employee of the month in February of this year. Randall was nominated by several different peers due to Randall was always willing to help anyone at any time with anything. Randall is a true asset to Vance County. Randall goes above and beyond to help all departments with their IT issues. Randall is always available when he is needed and doesn't know the word no. It's always yes. All our department heads talk about how great Randall and his staff are. If it's just from a friendly conversation or to the excellent work they do for Vance County. Randall is the one who's on top of things and leading his team to the next level. Randall has been employed with Vance County since December 2021. Just in his short tenure, he has brought Vance County to a new era and still making changes, great changes daily. We all time trying to say, okay, Randall, slow down. But he's doing it. We are so thankful for Randall and all he does. The employee engagement team will have an Employee of the Year event Friday, June the 14th from 12 to 2 downstairs of the courthouse in the atrium. We will have refreshments available. We would love for all y'all to attend if possible. Randall?
Hey. Our next appointment for tonight is Thomas Price, Scott Adams Company to present our annual audit report for 22-23.
Good evening to everyone. You should have a copy of the audit report and a smaller copy inside of it. That's the presentation summary, and I'm going to jump from the presentation summary if you'll allow me to. On page 1 of the presentation summary, under significant audit findings, there's 3 paragraphs there that talk about, in the first paragraph, appropriate accounting policies. The second paragraph talks about accounting estimates, and the third is disclosures. In the end, after everything was done, the appropriate accounting policies were used, the accounting estimates were appropriate, and the disclosures in the financial statement were neutral, consistent, and clear. On page 2, under difficulties encountered in performing the audit, we did have some significant difficulties, mainly with finance in performing and completing our audit this year. These difficulties have been disclosed in note 7 in the larger report, and in a subsequent event note in 2023, and it's -05, we made a change at the last minute. And then under uncorrected misstatements, we're unaware that there were any uncorrected misstatements in the final report. There were, in the end, in dealing with the management, there were no disagreements as we moved on. But during the process, we did have some with the prior finance officer. Management representation, they did provide us with a letter dated May 28th. We're unaware that management consulted the outside auditors, etc. Under other findings and issues, there were several year-end adjustments that were not made prior to sending a final trial balance. So finance should ensure that all year-end closing entries are made, including entries required for leases and new subscription-based IT arrangements. Those are 2 of the new standards that came out. And on the lease standards, basically what you're doing is taking all the leases the county has and trying to record those fair market value as an asset, and then the corresponding long-term lease liability as a liability. The subscription-based IT arrangements are if there's any software that's licensed that are longer than a year, then you're trying to quantify that amount and set it up as an asset and not just expense it every year as a lease or as an expense just as part of a normal expenditure. There were several prior period adjustments which were required to be posted after we got finished. They changed fund balance decreased it by $157,000. Another one increased fund balance by $109,000. Medicare cost insurance payments were not posted correctly in the prior year, which decreased fund balance by $267,000. And then there was an error posting related to refinancing a loan that was 32,782. There were several others. One increased government net position by 370. The difference between fund balance and net position is the difference in the statements. You may have a fund balance in what you traditionally manage, but net position would be government-wide statements, which would be exhibits 1 and 2 in the front, where you convert your governmental funds over to a business type activity. There were several budget amendments that weren't posted as amendments in the general ledger software. Going forward, that has to be a priority, but you can't manage what you have left in the budget if there's nothing posted there to determine that. Management should also look to strengthen procedures centered around the verification of background details, credentials of applicants, et cetera, of open positions, background checks. Management should dedicate resources to improving the training of all staff. As we got deeper into it, several staff members told us they weren't trained properly. And then the county should devote significant time to reconciling balance sheet accounts, particularly receivables, payables, salaries, and benefit accounts to the general ledgers from the subsidiary ledgers. The next paragraph or two talks about something that I'll hit on the very last page of this presentation summary. There were some technical violations in the Medicare, but no question cost. And then on page 5, if you will, on some of the numbers inside the audit report itself, you can see them there, the first number. I'm not saying these are all the key numbers in the report, but these are some of the key numbers in the report. And these give you some indication of trend and not just a number in space. So your total fund balance there in your general fund is $29,788,000. If you were to go back to 2019, that same number is $20,149,108. The unavailable fund balance is $5.9 million. The restricted committed is $8.59 million. Total general fund expenditures, $54,172,000. The fund balance available as a percentage is 44.08. Unassigned fund balance is $21,197,000. Unassigned fund balance as a percentage is 39.13. Both those percentages play a role if you ever go to debt committee and determining, it's one of the things the debt committee looks at as far as the health of the county and along with several other factors, but that is a very important factor in determining whether or not they will allow you to issue debt. Revenues over and expenses before financing sources there. General fund, water fund, solid waste. And then you see cash and accumulated depreciation, total fixed assets, accumulated depreciation in cash. And then the cash in the general fund at $26,768,559. The water fund $1,007,000. Solid waste $109,000. And the cash other governmental is $22,278,000, and that's got to do with projects and their status, et cetera. Fund balance again in your general fund is $29,788,000. Net position in your water fund is $4.799 million. Net position in solid waste is $692,000. And fund balance in other governmentals is $16,710,000. You see your property tax rates there. Right underneath that, you see your collection percentages and collection percentage excluding motor vehicles, total levy amounts for the 5 years. And then you see a breakdown of debt, which excludes compensated absences, and OPEB, which is other post-employment benefits. And total debt being $31,615,000. On page 6, you see a breakdown of your general fund revenues by year, by department. Total for the current year being $54,203,000. Total expenditures $51,877,000. On page 7, you see a bar chart there with total fund balance and restricted, committed, and assigned fund balance. You see that number obviously has increased according to the previous numbers we looked at. And then on the bottom, you see fund balance available at 44.08%. The group weighted average, some of the stuff the LGC tracks stopped a couple years ago because they changed it. Everybody above 100 million, everybody below 100 million. So it's hard to get a good group weighted average. And then on page 8, your analysis of unassigned fund balance is a percentage there at 39.13. Then on the bottom, you see revenues over and non-expenses before transfers. On page 9, cash balances there in a pie chart and fund balances as well. And right underneath there, you see the numbers. Cash balances being 50,893,000 and fund balances being 51,991,000. On page 10, you see your property tax rates and the group weighted average when it was applicable. And the same thing is true on the bottom chart with collection percentages and group weighted average. On page 11, it breaks out your debt by the various types with an amount from governmental installment purchase to leases, the business type, be it landfill closure and post-closure, to general obligation, to installment type in the business type. On page 12, you see a breakdown in a pie chart there, a percentage of your general fund revenues. And the reason there's so much focus there on you is because of what you see. Ad valorem taxes make up 49.5% of total revenue, and that's why when you're looking at collection percentages, levies, et cetera there. And then the local option sales tax at 24%. On the bottom, you see the large expenditures being public safety, human source services, education, general government being the 4 largest, I believe. And on page 13, this is what I was talking about earlier. If you've been on the board for any length of period of time, you used to get what was called unit letters. And I think about 2 or 3 years ago, this LGC came out with a template, and they basically asked us to present those and then allow you 60 days to respond from today's date. And the first one there is a budget violation, which we talked about. The second one is the prior period adjustments, which we went through. The reconciliation of records. And then on page 14 is internal controls. And then the timeliness of the audit as well. As you know, there was a significant issue with the finance officer and theft, which is detailed in the audit report. During the first 2 years, I think June 30, 2021 and June 30, 2022, the items popped up that were identified later in the current audit period that we're looking at, June 30, 2023. When we do our samples, we take a look at things, go through processes, the analytics. Those items would fell below what we looked at, and were not part of any sample that we did look at. When we looked at June 30, 2023, because of the numbers you're looking at or the findings you're looking at, we never got comfortable, which is why it kept being pushed back and pushed back and pushed back to the point that we finally started digging in to why we weren't getting the numbers we wanted in terms of, the numbers we wanted. The timeliness of the numbers and the accuracy of the numbers. So we began to dig into that. Why weren't the numbers reconciled? Why weren't they timely, et cetera, which led to our discovery of an issue. And then we went through our attorney to your attorney to identify that issue. And as that person was no longer present, then we succeeding folks were able to identify some of the issues that are part of this report. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions you've got of me.
The report mentioned report findings. Were these concerns discussed?
Sean, did you turn your microphone?
With these reports on, the green lights now. There we go. Were these concerns discussed with the previous county manager?
The 4 findings, we did have issues, and it's in the prior presentation about reconciliation of records and being timely. Yes, sir.
And what was his response?
I mean, that was not only to him, but to the whole board. It's in the document that I made the presentation with at the last time, I think December or January of last year. So, you know, it's up to him. He had to also respond to the LGC in terms of, I forget exactly everything, but financial performance indicators of concern. The EPIC response has to go to the LGC in addition to any response they give to us saying this is what we're going to do to fix it. Just like I was mentioning on the findings here in the last, I think, page 13, 14, management with your signature has to send something to the LGC within 60 days of tonight saying this is our plan to fix the issue.
So I guess I have a question as well. So when you found out that the previous finance officer was not performing to, I guess, certain standards that she needs to be during my tenure here, I think a conversation should have been had with me or a contact should have been made with me. So can you kind of explain why that didn't happen if there were deficiencies?
Traditionally, to give you a good answer, the timing on it would be important. I forget the date that you came. I apologize.
November. Yeah.
November.
Mhm.
So by the time we got to that period, we issued something called an organizer, which basically is a list of all the things that we need
Mhm.
to do our job.
Right.
Which is, you know, trial balance, payroll records, details of expenditures, revenues, et cetera. We had gone back and forth, and by November, we were in a process where not we wanted to stay
Mm.
because she was not giving us information in a timely way. Somewhere in November, December timeframe, our folks started going, the answers she's giving us
Mm.
are not what somebody in her position should be giving us. And you know, having had a resume, we looked at the resume and went, is this consistent with this resume? And it wasn't. And that's when our folks began to dig to see if that resume lined up with third-party folks, and it didn't. And then we requested copies of certificates, and she provided us information that our folks dug and found the discrepancy in those certificates or the information she provided. There was not actually a quote certificate. There was information from a website that you can go to, which if you dig, you can find where the commas should be and where the periods should be, and they weren't in the right spots. And so with you coming in November, we had already decided we weren't sure if this person was who they said they were. And so we went to our attorney and said, here's what we think. Can you call their folks? Because we're not sure if this is a personnel matter or what, and we don't need to be dealing with a personnel matter that is potentially a legal issue. And so I'm at that point, our folks called your folks.
So I'm the one who got that phone call and following up and echoing the county manager's concern. That took 2 months from what you just said, for that to happen. She was here for 3 months prior to that and was unaware that you guys were having issues, significant issues to the point that, as you just described it, you were thinking about staying or going. At what point is it reasonable for us to have expected you to have let someone other than the person you were having issues with know that you were having issues? And what do we have to do in the future to correct this? Because I believe we had a conversation a year or two ago with you who came and reported about the lateness of our audit and expressed concern as this board as to the timing and the lack of happiness with it taking that long. So we had already expressed a concern to you. Here we are again, probably in one of our latest audit years. And as of November, it had become really serious, but you still had not reached out to anyone other than the person you were having issues getting information from. Why was that?
At that point, I don't know, that I have a good explanation other than we're trying to figure out if we're gonna get any good information at all. Yes,
and
we
you're
should
gonna-
have contacted Ms. Renee. I'm not disputing that at that point, when she came on board, we should have, by the end of November, we should have said, we need to have a conversation because the information we have is not adequate.
Do you think it's unreasonable that management and staff have a concern that we were not contacted at that point?
I think it's reasonable to expect that you would be contacted. Our concern at that point, because as we looked at this information, we were not sure what was accurate and what wasn't. And maybe I was just totally focused on getting data and not contacting management, which is, I will assume that responsibility. So what you're saying is accurate. We were trying to get data and I was focused on data as opposed to contacting management.
Well,
It's my understanding that during some of the discovery process, that there were some ledger entries that were done incorrectly and that she received support from your firm to post those entries so that they became valid. Is that correct?
That's not my understanding of it. No, sir.
Ma'am, you could say we've not been addressed and should not be speaking now.
What you want to do,
Hmm? You have a question?
Oh, I always got a question. It appears that we noticed that there was some deficiencies with the previous finance director.
Yeah.
Would you think that the county manager was informed or should have been informed when it was notified that the deficiencies and y'all had an issue?
From the prior audit?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm just trying to make sure I understand.
Either from the prior audit or when our new county manager came aboard. Should she have been briefed on the issues that y'all had found and was doing discovery on? Because we had no acknowledgement about 6-7 weeks ago. So people come to us and we like, duh.
I mean, I'm not disagreeing that communication should be better. I'm not. But when we are presenting, whatever we had a finding or a presentation issue, everybody has to sign to send back to the LGC. Like if there's reconciliation issues, et cetera, that has to be responded to and everybody has to sign off on it. Some of the challenges with that is understanding exactly what you're signing off on. And I get that because not everybody's an accountant and I get that fully. I'm not trying to diminish that. But on the same side of that, when we put it down and the LGC forces a response, that's kind of what we're asked to do. So I get it from communicating. At that point, we were digging in to try and see if we were going to get enough data to do anything. We didn't suspect any foul play, but we didn't know.
Okay.
So that's really where the issue was.
Okay, going back to the question our county attorney asked, have we had significant communication so that we don't expect this to happen again?
I think county manager, the finance officer, our staff have communicated
Yeah.
at least weekly, sometimes
Sometimes
multiple
daily.
times during the day. Since all this, probably the last 3 or 4 months, I've been up here 2 or 3 times to meet, to try and make sure we're all on the same page, et cetera. So we've been doing our best to make sure we're all on the same page, understanding what's going on, et cetera.
Yeah,
So
and we
yes,
have conversations about expectations moving forward as well. So things will be different.
Has that been defined in writing?
Not yet. Yeah, not yet.
I think,
Yeah.
I would like to see it defined in writing
Okay.
so that we know exactly where we are.
Okay.
I saw the proposed contract
Mhm.
and that's got all the Gatsby language and all
Right.
that stuff in it. But there needs to be some expectations because there appears to have been some miscommunication along the way. In the 2022 audit, there were some things that were in the back of the audit. that
Right.
Were discoveries, but those were not necessarily discussed with our board. And we were not made aware of them by our previous manager.
Okay,
So those kind of issues like that, we need to make sure that we're
okay.
up to speed on now.
Can we have a conversation about the new contract? as
Yes,
well?
ma'am,
Okay.
happy to, and
All right.
happy to set
Okay.
a meeting schedule up,
Yes.
in-person Zoom and communications that, and invite a member or selected members or whoever you choose from the board to be a participant in those meetings at whatever frequency level y'all desire.
We had an audit committee that was set up for years,
Mhm.
and I think we probably need to reassess and probably create an audit committee. Get with you to see. I think that committee had some people outside that had accounting experience and so forth. And so I'll get with you and we'll see about setting up that committee. Okay. Just part of this presentation you just made, you showed a fund balance of 4.6 million or whatever in the water fund. The water fund borrowed money from the county to start with. What is that amount and where is that disclosed in the audit report?
The, it might have borrowed money initially, but the way the financials read is that got transferred at some point along the way. And there is no debt back to the general fund
What page you on?
as it sits.
That's why I didn't see that when I was reading through.
What page you on, sir?
Page 20 is the balance sheet of the proprietary funds, the solid waste and the water fund, page 20 of the larger report.
So we need to find out when those funds were supposedly transferred back to the county fund balance.
Okay,
Because that was, I think, several $1,000,000 when we got started.
okay,
It looks like there may be some fund balance there now available that we could at least make some transfers and start paying back. I mean, granted, we've got a construction project fixing to start.
Right.
And we've got to weigh all of that.
okay.
But that needs to be.
Yeah.
We need to follow the trail on that and make sure that it's covered.
Okay.
I don't recall any transactions where we return money to the fund balance.
Okay. We got it.
I would recommend giving the LGC a call if you, after doing that, you elect to make a transfer back.
Okay,
Especially if you got outstanding debt, to make sure all the covenants are in line, et cetera. I'm not discouraging you from doing that in any way, shape, or form. I'm just encouraging to have a conversation to make sure they're understanding of it.
Anyone have any other questions? There were a couple of typos in this when I was reading the draft. Would you like us to just forward that to you so that
If you will.
cleaned up?
We're gonna
Before we
go
present.
through and clean up everything prior to any submission to the LGC. So
Okay.
if you would do that, that'd be awesome.
Okay.
I got just one more question.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. Y'all been doing this since 2019. And y'all just finding this now in 2023. Do y'all hold yourself any account for what's going on?
I mean, I understand your concern. We had this internally. And so we have done some looking. We think we did everything correctly. Our work papers get reviewed, et cetera. It's unfortunate, but the reality is a financial audit is not traditionally designed, it's not designed to pick up fraud. If you look at statistics, only 3% of fraud is ever found by the external auditor. Almost a huge percentage is caught by tips, by internal audit, and by other factors, almost 70%, and 3% is found by external auditors. That's from the certified fraud examiners stuff, and we've got a couple of those in the firm. So being able to have that communication, if you will, that's part of why we send out all these fraud letters, those related party letters to go, if you know something, please tell us, et cetera. Be honest, when we found fraud at engagements, all but one have been a result of somebody, another employee going, you need to look right there, that's where it's at. So it's unfortunately, but that's the process that is set up.
Given the gravity of this event, what are your thoughts on a forensic audit?
Before I answered that in full, and I'm happy to do that, probably should have a conversation with Chuck, who's been in there to see exactly the extent of testing he's looked at, so that you can be presented with all the data, the board, to be able to make an informed decision on that.
My concern is we have a new finance director, and I don't want to come up a year from now and there'll be some baggage that shows up and she's, there. I mean, I think a clean slate is a good way to start.
I understand. I mean, we've got a couple certified fraud examiners on staff, happy to have that conversation and give you a feel for what that looks like. Just want to make sure we're doing something that you fully understand what that looks like. That's all the reason I'm not giving you a very direct answer. I want to make sure I give you a complete, full answer.
Okay. So,
What fully do that look like?
look, like what I'd like to do now at this point with that is I'd like to go ahead and appoint and engage the audit committee. Let the audit committee have a conversation and come back with a recommendation after conversation with them to our board. And then proceed from there. And that would be my thoughts right now.
Well,
Does anyone else have any other thoughts on this?
I got one thought.
One thing we need to do is to accept the audit report.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm making that motion right now to accept the audit report.
I second it.
We have a motion to receive the audit report and a second. Is there any other discussion? All in favor, aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
Before we move on, I got a question for the city, county attorney,
Attorney or manager? Me?
manager.
Oh, yes.
I was looking at Jonathan.
Sean, is your speaker not working?
It's ready.
Right here, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? You're welcome. What is your takes, Miss Renee,
What do you mean?
on this whole ordeal right
I mean,
now?
I can't speak too much about it. You mean the audit or,
What you can speak on?
and when you say, what is my take on it, what do you mean?
This forensic or whatever they talk, this thing is not
I
working.
can't really answer that question because I don't know what a forensic audit entails, so I can't give you an educated answer. But once I do my research, I can give you that answer for sure,
Thank you.
because I don't know what it entails. You broke.
It's
not working at all now?
It was working when you spoke. The green light needs to come. You pushed the top of it, Sean?
I'm done talking anyways.
Not for the rest of the night.
Green light. You go, will you sign this piece of paper?
Can I offer one thought to you?
Yes, sir.
It is one of the findings too, that I would think might be money as well spent as anything you do. It talks about internal controls. So while a forensic audit might find something, may not. If you were to go through and do a complete review of all internal controls, that would have as much value and would be one of the responses you got to do anyway on the epic response of anything you do, because then that you would talk about potentially thwarting anything going forward, because what happened would have been prevented had there been two people required to sign something. So
We've already had in-depth and she's working on that already.
yes, sir.
we are.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. Next item on the agenda is our Board of Equalization and Review. There were 6 people who was going to speak tonight. 3 of those have chosen not to. The first person to speak is Charles Williams. If you'll come up and present your case. Or you gonna,
Yeah, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Mr. Williams, informed our office today that he's waiting to get his 1099-R so he can get the disability. So he was not coming. He says, once he get us that, he can get that, elderly exemption.
Okay, so he's not protesting the value any longer?
No,
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, is he coming later?
that's,
no, once he gets,
Oh, I couldn't hear.
once he get us his 1099-R, he'll be fine.
okay. All right,
So I think the only one that we have is Angela Pruitt Taylor and Brenda Watkins.
okay, so Angela Cruden, we have here. So if you'd like to come up and present. Just so everyone knows, the Board of Equalization Review sits based on, North Carolina statute. And so we are guided by statute rules. And, so we'll be observing those as we make our decisions. Yeah, I think. Okay. So Ms. Crudup or Ms. Taylor?
Taylor.
Okay.
Okay, I was coming about my taxes because, the house 1402 South William Street and 1917 South Pine Street, both of those houses sold for $78,000 for 2 houses on May the 15th, 2024. And I got the realtor, she sent me a letter. She said my house would value at, what, 1,260,000 square feet. It should sell for 33.63 per square feet. And that'll make my value at 42. That what the realtor told me. And she said that, I print her email. It was 2 houses that sold for $78,000.
Okay, these houses apparently, what you're saying, sold on May 15th, 2024.
Yes,
Which is beyond the scope of our review period. There would be no values, no comps, unless they were already under contract, would be accepted for date any later than January 1st of 2024. So these comps would not have any standing in an appeal. Do you have other information?
my realtor sent me a, she emailed me saying my house wouldn't value no more than because of all the properties that had, all, that was boarded up. The realtor told me it wouldn't sell no more for $42,000, $373. And y'all told me the last time I was here that I needed to let a realtor tell me that.
Okay, did she provide any comparables to demonstrate that value?
Yes, it's on there. She wrote it because all these properties that was close to my house, they was boarded up.
The properties she used were the properties that closed on May 15th, according to the information I have here
Yes,
this
but
year.
But
So
the
they're
house
not-
next door to me is boarded up. The house across the street from my house is boarded up. That's why she said my house wouldn't sell for like that y'all told me.
I understand, but by statute, we have to have documentation and
Okay.
material to support it. The documentation we have is from comparables that were from May 15th of 2024, which they're not valid comparables. So do you have any other information to validate that value?
No, what do I need? Cause I went and talked to the lady at the tax office and she said I need to get a realtor to go in and tell me what my house was valued at, what she could sell it for. That's what I was told. So tell me what I need to do.
To me, it's unfortunate that the realtor chose comparables that were beyond. She needs to have comparables that would be relative as of January 1st of 2024.
Okay, of
Think she can
January.
get you there?
You understand what he's saying? Basically, she based it on a house that was sold in May. What we're looking at is what the value was on January. So what she needed to do is find comparables and find out what that value was back in January, not use the houses that she used these two, because they say May.
Excuse me one moment. I
So
know,
if she can go back and give a valuation back in January, that would be more helpful to you.
Okay, for January, okay.
now we recessed the board, so I do need to just come out of recess, correct?
You just want to continue this? Judge?
Continue this.
You want a motion to continue this?
We don't need any action because we just
Need an action to
recessed, correct?
continue?
No, but I would suggest it so that it's set for a date certain, just like we did last month and said it was gonna be this month, but we were gonna mail notices. And so
You want a motion to continue her case to next month?
Mhm, to the next
I
meeting,
put on a motion to continue.
I'll second it.
Okay, all right.
I got a question.
Yes.
first meeting.
This was from last month. It's just curiosity for my behalf. I know we had a meeting on May the 24th to enlighten the people more on what to do. I wasn't able to get here, but my question is, my thoughts since I left last month. Okay, I want to know, Dave will probably have the answer. Portia, or what rubric? Because we're asking the people to go back and get information. We asking them to go back and research. And I know we by state, we know we did an 8-year, we all at that point. But what rubric or what standard, what do they judge it by to come to this value? Because we're telling them to go get information. They got information. So they judging it by for them, I'm just trying to say, what are they using for these people? We keep telling them the same thing, but what did they use to say her house was 120-some thousand versus 42,000? We know that it's 8 years. I'm just trying to get an understanding because they did the research, but we telling them to go research.
I'll let Portia answer, but I know we adopted a schedule of values December of 23, I think, but I'll let Portia answer that question.
I just want to know.
Yeah.
Now, we've got a motion on the table, but I'd
Oh,
like, if there's
sorry.
any discussion you'd like to add to this case.
Yeah.
It is, and it's market sales,
Mm.
but it's market sales within the last 2 years because the January 1st of 2024 was the date that this, so anything prior to, at least 2 years prior to that, any sales, that's what they looked at, sales in Vance County.
Because I just want them to get a better understanding because they did the research, but we telling them to go back and find the research that they judged it by.
I mean, their research is right here.
Right.
They provided us with their research tonight.
Mhm.
And this, I believe, the same research. Okay,
Right, because this is what the value we came up with. At this point, they have to prove that this is not the correct value.
okay, all right.
House next door to me, it sold for $12,000 and that was last year.
I understand that, but there are houses that are comparable to yours. And that's what we need you to bring as a property that, I think I saw somewhere yours was in, 62 or 1962 or whatever construct, so houses of about that age.
So
and
how would I
square
know
footage.
that? How would I know
That's,
that?
that's why you call that realtor. That's what that realtor should have done.
Okay, so she needs to go back to January?
She needs to go back prior to January 2022 to January of 2024.
Okay.
And she needs to identify some comparable properties that would justify a reduction in your value. If those things are out there.
2022.
Okay? So we have a motion and a second. Is there any other conversation? All in favor? Oh, go ahead.
I have a, just in terms of information. Just because it's in your neighborhood, it doesn't necessarily mean it's comparable in value. So when they say comparable, something that may look like your house, maybe have the same square footage as your house. That's what, they looked at. They wouldn't compare if you had a bigger house to a little teeny house just because it's next door. You see what I'm saying? They're gonna look at something that has that same square footage, number of bedrooms, bathrooms, and so what's in your neighborhood. You understand what I'm saying? You know what's sold in your neighborhood, so you can put in your own efforts too to go right around and see if you can find something and let that realtor know. This house looks like mine. You can go to the tax office as well. They have information there about, what something may have sold for registered deeds or whatever on stamps and all that. So you can do some of your own research, but if you can't, don't be afraid to reach out to them, say, I saw a house. Let me see what that house sold for. Because I want to do a comparable to my house as well. But just make sure that you let the realtor know that we're looking, our cutout date was January, and nothing past January.
Oh, nothing bad.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
So when is the next meeting? Are y'all-
Will,
y'all
they'll
send
be
that out?
contacting you with a scheduled time for that.
Thank you.
Okay? And also, we voted, no? Voted to continue?
We put a motion in.
We put a motion in, so all in favor, aye? Opposed? Okay. All right, next we have Brenda Watkins.
You told me to get you 7 copies. And the first one is where I got it through. The second page has got the values. Okay, I'm Brenda Watkins, 271 South Lake Lodge, Extension Road, Henderson, North Carolina, 27537. When I came in, I think it was a month, 6 weeks ago, you told me to get where I got my insurance at, which is North Carolina Joint Underwriting Association. And it's got on the back page what they valued my house at, my double wide, which is 70,000. And I had put on there on the paper what I thought I would appraise it at, which was 75,000. They appraised it at 70,000. Like I said, I'm a fixed income. This land I live on, it's nothing good about it, but it's mine. I paid for it, it's paid for. My house is paid for. I don't want to lose it. So, and I can't pay but so much, but that double wide is not worth that much, but it's 70,000 and that's what they appraised it at. And that was the information that you asked for. That's what I got.
I think we asked for comparable sales.
Do what?
We asked for, I think we discussed that insurance was not a valid factor and that we needed comparable sales.
You told me to get my insurance and that would tell you,
I don't believe that was the conversation.
that's what you said. But you know what? I elected you guys. We elected you guys and I elected you knowing that you would help me. And I have not gotten any help from any of you. So I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to argue because that's just not me.
Okay.
You're going to do what you want to do. It's nothing I can do about it.
Okay. Do you care to
But in a
provide-
couple of years from now, I want you to think about it when you're in your nice homes. I want you to think about me sitting in a rest home or thinking about me sitting under a bridge or homeless. That's all I got to say.
Okay.
You guys have a nice evening.
Do you care to provide us any comparables or do you want to, are you finished? Okay, what's the pleasure of the board? Sir, we're not speaking now. You're out of order. You're out of order.
Have real estate that you rent. If reevaluation puts money in your pocket, it don't take it away.
Sir,
You don't mind seeing it go up. You don't mind starving the people to death. Something needs to change.
Sir, if you don't quit interrupting the meeting, you're going to be removed from the meeting.
fine, I will go. Don't have a problem. But I'm gonna be a thorn in your side from this day forward. That is my solemn promise.
Okay. Ms. Brooks, would you like to?
Anybody help her in terms of getting some information?
Do you think she's
additional
coming?
information?
She just said she didn't want any.
But
Ms. Brooks, would you like to present what your findings would like, what your recommendation would be?
Board members, Ryan apologizes. He's in Boone today dealing with other issues in the company, so I'm presenting tonight. So this is regarding Miss Brenda Lee Watkins' property. As everybody is well aware at this point, including the board members, we do strictly value based on sales. And as a couple of the board members have pointed out, these sales are as comparable as we can possibly find based on size, which is square feet, based on year built, and based on geographic location, as is as much reasonable as we can, because the state does require us specifically to revalue based on sales, not based on hypotheticals, not based on any kind of quotes that may or may not be. We have to strictly value on sales. So I just want to make sure that everybody is as aware of that as possible. One thing that I would like to recommend, and one thing that we also recommend to taxpayers and appellants, is there are resources online to do this. Things like Zillow.com, things like Realtor.com, things like Redfin.com. There are websites out there, and anytime an appellant comes into the tax office and asks us, we point them to those resources to try to help them as much as possible. And obviously that's within reason, because we have a pretty heavy workload throughout the day. We have appointments going on throughout the day with people that actually do call in and schedule appointments because of how strained our time is dealing with all the appellants that we have. So I just want the board to be aware that we are trying to do, and Portia especially is trying to do everything in our power to empower the citizens of Vance County to find the tools and recognize what we have had to already do to come up with these values. And of course, everybody saw the meetings that we've had prior.
So what's your recommendation on value?
So anyways, Miss Lee's property is currently valued at $87.55 a square foot. That is the metric that we try to look at in comparing sales. The sheet that everybody has in front of them right here, you have a range ranging from $89 a square foot all the way up to $134 a square foot. So even after looking at every comparable that we could find within reason to her property, we have her value set at the lowest price per square foot that we can reasonably say that is a equitable fair market value for Vance's 2024 reevaluation. So the tax office recommendation is to uphold the value of $107,861.
Now, it's my understanding already under appeal, you've lowered the value from 109,525 to 107,861.
Yes, sir.
And you want to maintain that. So what's the pleasure of the board?
Well, in my opinion, a lot of times when a person's standing up there and they're not getting the result, they can get sort of emotional or whatever. You know, I don't want to just rule her out in the event that she really wants to go back. I think there may have been miscommunications because we did mention insurance and Tommy did correct that. You know, when we were talking about insurance, you said it doesn't necessarily reflect the value of the house.
Yeah.
But she may not have heard that part or comprehended that part as to that conversation. So she may have been focusing on, okay, I can go with the insurance information and get the comparable. And so, you know, based on that, I want to basically, I don't want to shut her out. I would like to give her more an opportunity. You know, I know she's upset right now.
Because it was mentioned.
Right.
It was
And
mentioned.
so give her an opportunity. If she can find anything, just have it continue to the next time as the other lady and give her the opportunity if she wants to bring something in. You know, my feeling on the
So
situation.
you would like our assessor's office to contact her and ask her, does she want to proceed any further?
Yeah.
Or would you like the assessor's office to send her a notice saying, this is where we are? And, you know, you can appeal further if you want.
I would recommend we just continue it to the next
Continue to
meeting or
Okay.
some meeting.
Same as Yolanda said, work with her so that she can go back and look at some of these web pages and get a little bit more factual information and everything. She left angry, but I think that if we reach out to her and wind up showing her that she do the comps comparable before January 1st, then we're sort of reaching out to her. So I'd like what John said, continue along with what Yolanda's saying.
Was that your motion?
Yeah, that would, yeah. it's been-
Anybody have a comment?
Yep, motion.
I second that motion.
We have a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye? Opposed?
Can I ask him a couple questions?
Yes, sir.
If somebody has a real major complaint, and of course, I've had some complaints in the past with banks. And the way I've solved my problem is I got a certified appraisal. If somebody has a really major complaint, a major deal, what kind of pricing is that for somebody to have to pay? Cause I had to pay for those certified appraisals.
Are you speaking to like having a fee appraisal of your property done?
Now, if you had one, so give me an example of these ladies, the ones we're doing now. If they had went back and had a certified appraisal done, as far as that's concerned, what kind of pricing would it be? Huh? Fee appraisal.
So I'm not a fee appraiser. So I can't speak to what they charge for that. General ranges, I genuinely couldn't tell you.
Well, what I'm saying is that's an absolute way that if you get something done and have it done in as appraisal, certified appraisal, that's probably something that would be easily to be accepted. Is that correct?
We do look at all certified fee appraisals as evidence. Yes, sir.
As
We
evidence.
just have to make sure that they are dated and using comps specifically prior to that 1/1 of 2024. So you have to be very careful in telling appellants to go and just get a fee appraisal
I'm not telling
because
anybody, I'm just saying I've had the problem with banks before, and so what I did was I went and got a fee appraisal, certified appraisal.
I believe what was discussed in the meeting we had when they presented, last week, week before, whatever it was that just providing comps was adequate. A fee appraisal, full fee appraisal was not necessary.
Well, I just had.
But that is-
I just wanted to bring that up.
I mean, I know if I'm sitting here and somebody comes in with a fee appraisal from a certified appraiser, I'm gonna pay a lot of attention to it.
And you get something outside
Mhm.
of the personal doing it, so it gives you proof.
And I think their concern is they saying they just can't afford it, cause I just looked it up, it's like $500 to $800. Maybe national 350, so they saying they can't afford it, some of them can't afford it. Now, I don't know if there is somewhere, that there's a place or somewhere we can research and recommend that help, maybe somebody with low income to get that assistance, I don't know.
All of those sources that he just gave us
Oh, I know you said
readily available online.
Zillow, you talking about Zillow and all this
All
stuff?
those, yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, ma'am.
In terms of this specific piece of property, was it permanently attached or was there underpinning?
Okay.
this was permanently attached. Yes, ma'am. It has a full blocked in foundation underneath it.
So was it bricked up or just cinder block?
It was, I believe it was center blocks with actual crawl space vents.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. Generally, when you have a permanently attached, you might have a different value than what the DMV is going to charge for the same type of mobile home that has not been permanently attached.
So what you're referring to is one mobile home is treated as real property and the other mobile home is considered personal property.
Okay, did you, when you were doing your assessments, did you look at the differences between those that were permanently attached versus those that was personal property?
No, ma'am. When we're doing our comparables, we specifically have to compare real property to real property. We can't take personal property into consideration.
Mobile home would be considered personal property, just like a car or anything else. and it wouldn't be part of the value.
Yeah, but it is a mobile
If
home
it's
that's been
not attached.
If it's not attached and the title is still, hasn't been returned.
And that goes back to what he was saying,
Mhm.
real estate to real estate. If it's personal property, then that wouldn't be considered a common.
I just wanted clarification so people understand there is a difference. And also, I guess the question is, if this was not permanently attached, do you think it would have had a different value?
Most certainly, yes, ma'am.
And did you,
All those considerations are there.
and so when you were checking hers, did you check to see if it was sitting on those cinder blocks or, you know, some people just sit it on there, it's really not permanently attached. I've had a situation where I've seen one that was there, but it was not permanently attached, and so they were still paying through DMV, their taxes through DMV, and they weren't paying through the tax office. So did you all, in those situations, make that determination of whether or not that permanently attached versus that personal property issue?
No, ma'am. We don't climb under foundations and inspect foundations like that.
Well, you don't always have to climb, but sometimes you can observe, you know, how something is situated.
Commissioner,
That was the basis of my question.
the standard is different for taxation than it is for what you and I would look at when we're certifying titles. It is less of a standard to get it treated as permanent in real estate than it would be for us to certify as real estate to a bank or title company.
All right, at this point, today is the last day that people have the right to file appeals. So going forward, we will set up a schedule of when we'll hear appeals, and we'll wait to hear all those cases about how many, and then we'll need to schedule some dates based on that. Probably wait till our July meeting and see how many come in. And if something crazy happens between now and then, we might start doing them. That would be my recommendation right now.
And for clarification, since today is the last day, are you saying that it ended at 5 o'clock or will it end at midnight?
We did it at 5 o'clock according to our attorney. Okay. No other cases come before us tonight, so we keep it in recess. We adjourn the Board of Equalization Review. So the Board of Equalization Review is adjourned. Okay, next on our agenda is a public hearing to discuss our 2024-25 proposed budget. The public hearing is now open. Ms. Perry, what do you have for us? You gonna get us into that? Hmm?
Okay, so pursuant to Section 159-12 of the North Carolina General Statutes, notice is hereby given that the fiscal year 24-25 proposed budget of Vance County will be submitted to the Vance County Board of Commissioners on May 28th, 2024. A copy of said budget will be available for public inspection on the county's website at www.vancecounty.org and in the office of the Vance County Clerk, 122 Young Street, Suite B, Henderson, North Carolina, from 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. on May 29th of 2024. Notice is hereby given of the budget hearing that shall be held Monday, June 3rd, 2024 at 6 p.m. or shortly thereafter in the Vance County Board of Commissioners meeting room located at 122 Young Street, Henderson, North Carolina, seeking public input on the budget. Written comments may be submitted to Kelly Grissom, clerk, by email, fax, or regular mail, kgrissom@vancecounty.org, fax 252-738-2039, or 122 Young Street, Suite B, Henderson, North Carolina, 27536. This notice was published on May 23rd, 2024.
Is there anyone that would like to speak on the budget? Any comments from the board? Public hearing is closed. Next, I'll open the Water District Board. And then I'll open the budget hearing for the Water District Board. Basically, it's this, just basically what was previously said. Is there anyone that would like to speak on issues of the Water Board budget? Any comments from the commissioners? Being none, the water budget hearing is closed. You have your monthly operations report. Does anyone have any questions on it? Should have had an opportunity to review that. Okay, then we'll move on to the water tower update.
Yeah, so I sent you all an email, I believe it was last week, sometime a week before last, in reference to the Warrenton Road Tower. And as an update, it has been repaired. They threaded the spool piece with a valve on the end of it. The fix is temporary, but the plan is to get in contact with the tank contractor for a more permanent fix for that. But we do have plans to meet with EnviroLink. We scheduled a meeting for Friday. I don't have a confirmed time yet, just to discuss some other issues that we've been having with EnviroLink as well. And so this will be a topic of conversation on Friday when we have the meeting. So that's an update on the tower. Does anyone have any questions? Yes, sir.
So in essence, we've been having to hold up on the water situation out in Kittrell until we got the audit.
That's correct.
So now with us having the audit done, can we go ahead with phase 3 of out at Kittrell about moving forward with the contract?
So once the LGC approves the audit, yes, we can move forward with those conversations. Yes, sir.
Just curiosity wise, you're talking about the audit, the LGT approving it. Are we talking about how long, what is a reasonable amount of time you think?
For approval from LGC.
Yes.
So, right now we still have a draft audit. So once that's confirmed and sent to the LGC, I would say, 2 to 3 weeks, maybe, I would
We're
say.
talking about within the next month.
Yeah, it has to be before June 30. Yes, sir.
So we can go ahead and look at maybe that. moving
Shortly
forward
after.
With that after that.
Mhm. Yes, sir. We'll start that process.
Thank you.
And nothing else on the Water District Board?
One question,
Yes, ma'am.
when is the, contract for EnviroLink set to expire?
So we just re-signed the contract August of 2023. And so, I don't know, I can't remember what the time frame is, but we just re-signed the contract less than a year. Well, yeah, less than a year ago. So, but we'll be taking a look at that as well.
That'll be in a committee coming up.
Yes, we have we're gonna have a water committee meeting.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Nothing else from the Water Board. Water Board is now adjourned. Ms. Williams. Our finance.
Good evening.
report.
So I have 3 recommendations. The first recommendation is to authorize the staff to perform the necessary fiscal year 23-24 year-end budgeting and accounting transactions.
What's the pleasure of the board?
I'll make the motion. Is that what you want?
Yes, sir.
You got it.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Okay, second one. Thompson Price Scott Adams and Company has presented an amendment to the financial audit contract for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2023. Recommendations to approve the amended contract with Thompson Price Smith and Adams and Company for the annual financial audit for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2023.
Okay. The amendment was for the 22
23.
23.
We just finished 23. That was,
Three audits, okay.
Yeah, so,
That amendment was basically to extend the time that it was due,
correct,
and there wasn't any additional cost on that.
correct.
Okay,
Yeah, they didn't
And
charge us
then-
anything additional, right? Yes, correct. That's right.
okay, all right. Okay,
So move.
Second.
got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, audit contract for fiscal year 23-24. Thompson Price Smith Adams and Company has presented a contract to continue as the auditors for the county for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024. The fee for the audit will be $58,800. Additionally, the Office of the State Auditor now requires a separate engagement for testing of Medicaid, other DSS programs for all counties, new Gatsby laws, as well as ARPA requirements. This testing goes beyond the scope of a typical audit. The recommendations to approve the contract with Thompson Price, Scott Adams and Company to perform the annual financial audit for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024.
Do you want me to, you want me to have conversations with TPSA about the additional information that we discussed, to make sure it's in writing? So you want me, you all want to hold that for now? Yeah. So the contract will need to be approved by June 30. So what we can do is just have a revised contract, maybe when you all adopt the budget, when we set that meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody
Does
good
that
there?
work? Okay.
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 Okay, all right.
Thank
So there'll be
you.
no action on that tonight.
Right.
We have our county managers.
Committee report.
Oh, committee report, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
yes, sir. So the Joint Public Safety Committee and Fire Commission, the two committees met on Thursday, May 30th of 2024 at 3:30 PM to receive the results of the fire study from the consulting firm AP Triton. The report detailed data received from volunteer agencies, Vance County Fire Department, and county staff. The report also provided recommendations for the board to consider moving forward. The county manager will coordinate working groups with direction from the board after July 1st of 2024. And so this was just for your information. Does anyone have any questions about the results of the study or anything? No? Okay. So fire PPE capital requests, the committee reviewed a request from Fire Chief Chris Wright to move forward with the purchase of PPE, which is 4 air packs for fire staff. The recommendation is allow the county manager to authorize the capital purchase of PPE based on current needs and recommendations by Chief Wright.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Approve the request, motion to approve it.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
All right.
Opposed? That motion carries.
Okay. County Manager's Report. Fireworks permit, the City of Henderson. The City of Henderson is requesting approval of a fireworks permit for a fireworks display at Fox Pond Park on Saturday, June 29th. June 30 is the rain date. The display will be handled by a professional pyrotechnics firm, Zambili Fireworks Manufacturing Company, with the appropriate credentials and insurance coverage. The county fire marshal has already approved the permit, subject to board approval. So the recommendation is just to approve the request from the City of Henderson and Zambili Fireworks Manufacturing Company for a permit to discharge fireworks at Fox Pond Park on Saturday, June 29th, 2024, with a rain date of June 30.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
All right.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, so the next item is ambulance franchise application for North State Medical Transport. So this was presented to you all at your previous meeting because the general statute says we have to have 2 approvals. So North State Medical Transport has reapplied for their ambulance franchise. Their application appears to meet the ordinance requirements, and they currently operate from a Vance County location. State law requires consideration of the franchise application at 2 separate meetings, with the final consideration planned for the June 3rd meeting or today's meeting. And so the recommendation is just to approve and grant ambulance franchise agreement, allowing North State Medical Transport Incorporated to provide ALS and BLS service in Vance County.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
All right.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, so waiver of permit fees, Rebuilding Hope Servants on Site. Rebuilding Hope Incorporated is conducting its Servants on Site event this summer. The program will take place June 24th through June 28th and includes 6 roofing projects in Vance County for needy families. Rebuilding Hope has asked that the permit fees be waived for these projects. The recommendation is to waive the permit fees for Rebuilding Hope's Servant on-site program.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
All right.
Opposed? That motion carries.
So I'll skip item D since we'll schedule those meetings and we'll look to see how many actually want to come to the Board of ENR. So we can discuss that at July 1st, as Chairman Brummett mentioned earlier. So we'll go straight to E, 2023 Portable Radio PSAP grant application. So Emergency Operations applied for a portable radio PSAP grant in January of 2024. The grant has been awarded in the amount of $49,985.34. The county will need to pay the cost upfront and be reimbursed by the 911 board. The recommendation is to approve the general fund budget amendment in the amount of $985.34 to purchase the portable radios.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay.
Motion carries.
Okay, so my final item is the Brody Road Convenience Site request. So a GFL staff employee is requesting a time change for the Brody Road Convenience Site. The hours were changed in August 2023 with hopes of deterring illegal dumping on Brody Road. Those hours are set by the Board of County Commissioners. And they are set for the entire county. The recommendation is to approve or deny the employee request to change the operating hours of the Brody Road Convenience Site Center from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. to 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Sundays. And when I spoke to Chairman Brummett and Mr. Kelly earlier, the conversation was, I think initially there was a 1 to 6 p.m. time frame. So I think we'll just be reverting back to that time frame as well, if you're all okay with that.
You're just doing the summer, right after the summer months, right? Because the
No,
time is.
this one stays open
Stays-
year-round from 1 to 6.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
So a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, aye? Opposed? Motion carries.
We're approving 1 to 6, right?
1 to 6, correct.
Okay, and I'll contact GFL and let them know that change can be immediate or whenever works with their schedule.
I think what we said, just do it immediately.
Yeah, just depending on GFL schedule.
They can arrange to
Yeah.
get scheduled.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay.
That's all from me. Thank you.
Got the OSHA rule.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I was operating off the wrong list. I'm sorry. So OSHA rule proposal, I sent you all an email last week. So there's a proposed OSHA rule that is receiving public comments through June 21st of 2024. The rule seeks to reduce the number of injuries, illnesses, and fatalities occurring among emergency responders in the course of their work by requiring employers to establish risk management plans, provide training and medical surveillance, establish medical and physical requirements, develop standard operating procedures, and provide other protective measures enabling emergency responders to perform their duty safely. The county manager will be consulting with the fire chief and fire marshal, EMS director, and other commissioners to provide a public comment on the proposed rule. And so this is just for your information.
And just that thing, when you read through it, it's the federal government trying to require NFPA rules for all departments, and also to require physicals and a whole bunch of other things that are not funded by the federal government. And I talked with Brandon Link, the chair of the Fire Association this morning. They're greatly concerned about it and would like our support in sending a letter to the public comment period. I believe it ends on June 21st. And like us to send the letters saying that we do not support this change.
Yeah, I'll work on that.
So if we need any other conversation on that, we can have it. If not, we'll move on. Jonathan.
All right, I'm bringing before you tonight a different offer to purchase contract on Red Clay Lane. Last month, we addressed one and held off on it to check and verify that the offer met the minimum amounts, and it did, by the way. But tonight we have another offer, a different offer from a different person. This one is for $1,200. I believe the offer last month was for $900. And so before you tonight is your consideration. This would be the first time of accepting it. If we do, it would then go to be published for upset bids in the newspaper. And so I'm presenting the $1,200 offer on Red Clay Lane lot, tax parcel 0352A 01029.
So we need to approve a resolution authorizing the upset bid process. What would be the pleasure of the board?
I just have a question. Did you take in consideration the attorney fees that were generated, in the foreclosure process? That was one of the things that we had.
Do you remember what that policy that was adopted? 50% of attorney's fees.
So it does.
Yes.
This price, okay. Just wanna make sure.
Okay, so what's the pleasure?
Motion to approve, move forward.
Did we have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Opposed? That motion carries.
Mr. Chair, it would also be appropriate, since we opened it up to consider and continued it last month, to formally deny the Bobby Gardner offer from last month.
Okay. Did I hear that as a motion?
That's included in the motion.
Okay.
How about that?
You okay with that? Who made the second? You made the second? Okay, all right. So if everybody's okay, all in favor? All right. Okay, opposed? All right, we continue on. All right, next we have consent agenda. You've had a chance to review those. What would be the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have our miscellaneous Kelly appointments.
The first item is appointments for the month. The Vance Granville Community College Board of Trustees reappoint Sarah Wester and Carolyn Faines. The Henderson Recreation Commission reappoint Corey Somerville and Charles Bullock. And one application was received from Russell Barbario.
So what's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve all.
Second.
Okay, and to approve so Sarah Weston, Carolyn Faines as Vance Scramble Community Board of Trustees, and Henderson Vance Recreation Park, Corey Somerville and Charles Bullock. Is that correct? Okay, we have motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Opposed? That motion carries.
And the next item is to appoint a voting delegate for the NACO conference in July.
Who's attending?
I make a motion that we appoint Sean Austin.
Second.
Okay,
Second.
all right, any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Motion is approved. That's all of that. Next, we have a closed session to discuss a property matter. Do we have any minutes review after that? So the only thing that will occur after this session would be the approval of the minutes from a prior closed session. So thank y'all for being here tonight. No, you got.
I make a motion, we go in closed session.
Second.
Second. Made a motion to go into
Closed session, yeah. All in favor, aye? Opposed? Okay, we're in closed session.